against the Pelicans, it was Luke Loucks' idea to go to a zone defense at a halftime. And Mike Brown recounted that, he's always kind of getting suggestions such as that from Lux or Lux, I never know, and Jordi Fernandez. And Mike Brown was kind of like, it's just, I'll just give in. And I went with it. Like, it just kept yapping about it, and I just went with it. Now, I don't know how tongue-in-cheek that was, but first of all, it raises a question about, like, well, now the Kings might have the zone defense thing in their back pocket. And that zone defense, even though any team will tell you that they don't really practice it, but Kevin Huerter will tell you that at the same time, nobody practices against it. So if you can implement it well, which also is a testament to the coaching staff, but I'll turn it over to you.
No, it is a testament. I'm just going to say, like, I feel like every time someone, like the opposing team, goes into a zone against the Kings, I feel like it always just screws up the Kings. I don't know. The zone defense, it is kind of weird. It's like, why isn't this used more? It seems like it works against everyone. But, like to Kevin Huerter's point, no one practices against it. So it's kind of like that. I guess if you do it too much, then it'll kind of just get outused and people will figure it out. But, I mean, I know throughout this season, at least, whenever the other team goes to the zone, it always screws with the Kings. So it makes sense why it worked for us, so it seems to work against us every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like people asked Mike Brown, like, was this like something that was loaded up, like you were ready to maybe go to it, or was it based on matchups, spur of the moment? And Mike Brown, like, in addition to talking about how it was his assistant coach's idea, I don't want to say Luke Loucks again, but I did. I just said it. But he was talking about, and you hear this from anybody. You hear it from De'Aaron Fox talking about checking players that are going off on the other team. Is just sometimes you just want to give them a different look. And I guess this kind of lends to what we were talking about earlier. Like, if you want to take an optimistic viewpoint, this is another bullet in the bandolier for the Kings to use, I guess, potentially. How that plays out, like we said, we don't know. But I guess the question that I have that comes up is like, well, why didn't Mike Brown go to this earlier? Because it seems like this would have been useful at some point, because I think the Kings have maybe gone to a zone a few times, but not for a whole half.
No, very rarely this season. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe the question does have to come up. Is Mike Brown stubborn?
I don't know. Like, to play Mike Brown's side, it's like maybe he just, like, the regular season can be, seen as a practice run for the playoffs. I mean, the Kings aren't at that point yet, but it's like, he probably wants them to get that damn man-to-man down. So it's like, you're just going to keep running that man-to-man so that by the time you get to the postseason, it's a lot better than it was, at the beginning of the season. So maybe he's trying to stray away from the zone. So it's like, hey, like the zone will work, but like we need to get this man-to-man down for when it matters in the playoffs. So maybe that's why. And he's just like, finally, that we're getting closer to the playoffs, it's like, okay, maybe we need to start winning games. It's like, let's go to the zone now. Like, and now it really matters. Like, trying to hang on to that second seed now, or jump up to that second seed, get that good positioning. I don't know. That's just playing Mike Brown's side, but he could be stubborn too. I mean, he is trying to win games regardless.
No, I think you make a great point, though, by taking quote unquote Mike Brown's side. It's like, how sustainable, like, how much do you want to lean on the zone defense? Is that sustainable for the whole time? Because it sounds like it's almost better just to have different options. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, it would be ideal to just get down the simple man-to-man and the additional kind of stuff that comes off of that.